kind of deconstructs Super Mario, and obviously the core purpose is to save the princess, and sort of approaches it from a standard enterprise application design standpoint, and puts together some examples of how one might go about it. And he impugns this approach and kind of critiques it because he says that this kind of design fails to recognize that the user is a person, the person wants to learn, the person can change, the software has an effect on the person, and you have to take that very seriously. And the words you're using, enable, inspire, love, care, gratitude, joy, to me, they seem to come from a conception of the person as somebody who's living and changing, and the software, in fact, has an effect on them.
So something Patrick and I have talked about in the past is, and this is something I'd love to try and describe, and you'll have to help me, because I think it's really important, and it's something that I realize, and it took me many years at Apple to realize this, but it's an effect that I believe occurs when you're in larger groups of people involved in the common cause of developing a product. I think one of the things that happens is, generally we grow up wanting to be able to relate to people and wanting to be sociable. We find ourselves in a work environment with hopefully a diverse range of people. And one of the things that's interesting is if we're developing products together, there is this, I noticed this, and it used to infuriate me before I came to try to have a slightly more generous interpretation of why this happens. But that people generally want to talk about product attributes that you can measure easily with a number. So if you guys think about it, and you think about what would dominate the conversations that you would have, product conversations, you will end up talking about schedule, cost, speed, weight, anything where you can, generally agree that 6 is a bigger number than 2. And I understand why, but the problem is much of my contribution and the contribution of designers and other creatives, you can't measure easily with a number. Or it gets even more demeaning. It can be just, well, that's your opinion. Well, that's like telling your heart surgeon, well, that's your opinion, and you having a go yourself. And so what I came to realize, and I think this is, I think the more generous interpretation I had was, we do that because we want to try to relate to each other. We do that because we want to be inclusive. But then this is the dangerous thing that happens, and I would encourage, I desperately hope this doesn't sound arrogant, but I would really encourage you to think about this, because I've been so struck by how important this is. The insidious lie follows, which is we spend all our time talking about attributes because we can easily measure them. Therefore, this is all that matters. And that's a lie. It's important, but it's a partial truth. And all of the stuff that I think designers and other creatives can contribute to an experience or to a product that can make it delightful to use and joyful to use, as well as more productive. If it's delightful and joyful, things tend to be used more.